It's the Japanese sedan your 10th grade poli-sci teacher drove, and even though you didn't do the reading and you didn't contribute to the class discussion, he still gave you a B. This car went from light pony to VTEC Bob Brony, all the while being on the Car and Driver 10 Best list more than any other car in history. This is everything you need to know to get up to speed on the Honda Accord. A big thank you to Honda for sponsoring this episode of Up to Speed. They lent us a brand new Honda Accord, and they gave my son Nolan a ride in a freaking 2-seat Indy car. And I promise in this episode, I will show you a video of Nolan screaming in the back of an open wheel race car. But for now, back to the show. In 1972, Honda launched the Civic. You might have heard of it. The Civic sold really well in the US market thanks to its reliability, low price, and great fuel economy. But the little commuter had some drawbacks. It was small and simple and lacked the features that American drivers had come to expect, like features. So in 1976, Honda debuted a bigger, fancier companion car. They say the nameplate stands for Honda's desire for accord and harmony between two people, society, and the automobile. In order to achieve that accord and harmony, the first Accord was a compact $4,000 two-door front-wheel drive hatchback powered by Honda's second generation 68 horsepower 1.6 liter CVCC 4-cylinder engine that came laden with a bunch of standard features like cloth seats, a tachometer, intermittent wipers, AM/FM radio, rear window wiper / defroster, a remote rear hatch release, because true harmony means easy access to all that junk inside your trunk. While the car was well received, it looked a little too much like the competition for some people. Yo, did you guys just trace a picture of the Scirocco and call it a day? Nah. I love pony cars so much I wanted the first version to be a 2-door. Don't even worry about it, dude. For the 79 model year, Honda released a 4-door sedan version of the Accord. It had an upgraded 1.8 liter, 72 horsepower engine and sweet luxury options like power steering and ice cold AC. Of course, these features are commonplace today, but they proved to be a huge deal to consumers in the late 70s because American manufacturers didn't offer these things in any of their sub 2 liter efficient models. In the first year of Accord production, Honda sold 18,000 cars in the US. But Honda wanted more. Fortunately for them, and only them, the Iranian Revolution of 1979 caused oil prices to skyrocket globally, bringing about a Japanese revolution in America. People ditched their big gas guzzlers and went for more fuel-efficient options. By the end of the first generation, Honda sold over 200,000 Accords. All right? I haven't seen a more successful first generation since Abraham in the Old Testament. Yeah. The Accord became so popular in America that Honda needed to build a new factory just to keep up with demand. In 1982, Honda opened a manufacturing plant in Marysville, Ohio. Shout out to those Marysville Monarchs. You guys are gonna smash Dublin Kaufman in that season opener on October 4th. Honda was the first Japanese automaker to ever build cars in the US. That's more harmony. That's world harmony, baby. Oh my God. He's like an angel. The second gen Accord was everything that made the first gen great, and even more. The completely redesigned Accord was bigger than its predecessor and available with a 4-speed automatic, and could be had with shag carpet and velour upholstery, which makes driving naked feel so much better.
Honda New Accord 誕生.
In 1983, they upped the standard horsepower from 72 to 86, and in 85, 10 years before Post Malone was born, they released the SCI, which increased horsepower to a whopping 101 Japanese Wagyu ponies. The second gen was so awesome that Car and Driver put it on their very first 10 best cars list in 1983, where it would go on to be the winningest car in the award's history. While Honda seemed to have the Accord fully dialed in, competition got fierce when Soichiro Toyota launched the Toyota Camry in 1982. Soichiro Honda was like, this Soichiro from a different Kaiichiro, that's his dad's name, is trying to move in on our turf? Boys, it's time to call in big guns. Honda enlisted the help of designer Toshi Ashika. Toshi gave the new third-gen Accord a sporty, blade-like design that featured
up and down headlights.
up and down headlights. Unfortunately / actually fortunately, the low-slung design didn't leave room for traditional McPherson suspension. So the only solution was to install more expensive double wishbone at all four corners. This is the same kind of suspension that Honda's NSX used. Suspension inspired by the Formula One cars Honda was powering with their engines in the mid-80s. And since the Accord came out 4 years before the NSX, it could be argued that the Accord is more of a race car than the NSX. Now, I'm not saying that one could win that argument, but I digress. The double wishbone suspension made the third-gen Accord one of the best handling sedans in Japan, if not the world at the time. That's the power of wishbones, baby. Make a wish. I wish my car was one of the best handling sedans in the world. Granted! By 1989, the Accord was printing money for Honda. They had sold nearly 3 million cars since its debut. America couldn't get enough of the humble Honda, and it hadn't even reached its final form yet. So when Honda released the 4th gen for the 1990 model year, they decided to go big or go home, literally. They added 4.7 inches to the wheelbase. The increase in size bumped the Accord up to a mid-size classification and gave birth to the first Accord wagon. Who are Honda fanboys gonna love? Who looks great slammed on bags? You do. The 5th gen came out in 1994 and featured a truly special engine in Honda lore. A 2.2 liter, 4-cylinder beastie boy with variable valve timing and lift electronic control technology, also known as the H-Series VTEC, which you can learn about here, gave the Accord great fuel efficiency at low RPM and better performance at high RPM. The special camshaft and valves almost made it feel like you had 2 engines under the hood of your car. The 5th gen also introduced a 2.7 liter V6 to the lineup for the first time. It put out a respectable 170 horsepower. The more powerful V6 engine and high revving VTEC 4-banger, the H22, my dude, in an EG. There was an orange one running around Louisville when I was in high school. It was like one of my favorite cars. Engines like the H22 helped bolster Honda's image as a performance brand. And that is why this era is known as the golden age of Hondas. Then came the 6th gen Accord in 1998. Europe saw the introduction of the lightweight, super awesome 217 horsepower Accord Type R, which we didn't get, but I'll talk about anyway. Like the Civic Type R of the time, Honda basically stripped out an Accord's interior, stiffened up the chassis, made the brakes better, and tuned the suspension for the twisties. Under the hood was a red top 2.2 liter VTEC engine, which revved to an insane 8,800 RPM. You know what I'm talking about. I do. May I? Go ahead. Thank you. But alas, us Americans were denied this sweet, sweet ride. Back over here, the 6th gen American Accord mainly focused on safety, environmental improvements, and getting bigger. Kind of like me now that I'm in my 30s. And as Americans got bigger, so did the most popular car in the country. To handle the ever-expanding girth of the Accord, the 7th gen marked the debut of the K-Series 4-cylinder engines in 2002. I love the H22, but if I bought a Honda, it would get a K-swap. the base model Accord jumped from 135 to 160 horsepower. Honda also offered an improved V6 that punched out 240 horsepower and could be paired with a 6-speed manual. A few years later marked the debut of the thickest Accords ever made, the 8th gen / 9th gen Accords from 2008 to 2017. I'm putting them together because they are very similar and life is too short. This behemoth was so big that the sedan was officially classified by the EPA as large. It was 10 inches longer and 3 inches wider than the previous gen, and an astounding 20 inches longer and 11 inches wider than the first gen Accord. Cars get bigger, it's life. But just because the 8th and 9th gen Accords had to shop in the Husky Boys section, that didn't mean that they were bad. No frickin' way. As my boy Soichiro says, no frickin' way. They had 120 cubic feet of interior space. That's as big as an SUV, and despite being considerably bigger, they were only a few pounds heavier than the previous generation, which brings us to the current 10th gen of the Honda Accord. The car debuted with the 2018 model and was a complete redesign. For the first time in Accord's long history, they actually made the car smaller than the previous generations. They made the car almost 3 inches shorter in length while adding a ½ inch of width. Them's good proportions. And about that engine, Honda went the cheeky route and put the freaking Type R engine under the hood. I'm talking VTEC, baby. Turbocharged VTEC. That's like VTEC times 2, kind of. Okay, it's not the same engine as the Type R. It's got a smaller turbo and a less aggressive cam, but it's still 2 liters, still makes over 250 horsepower, and you can still get it with a stick. Do you know how many Audis you can get with a stick shift right now? 0. As you might have picked up on, Honda loves racing. In fact, Honda founder himself once said that without racing, there is no Honda. Well, that still holds true today. Honda is deep in the IndyCar game, supplying twin turbocharged 750 horsepower V6s to some of the best teams in the country. And guess what? The Accord is in on it too. You can see a souped up Accord pace car lead the pack around the track at IndyCar races all over the country. And if you want to ride in one, they built one for you to ride in. It's the fastest seat in motorsports. You can ride in the back of an Indy car around a real racetrack. Congrats, you've watched until the end. For your service, you shall be awarded with some sweet, sweet footage of Nolan driving around the streets of Long Beach in the back of an Indy car.
All right, we're on pit road.
Potentially taping it to the help.
Clear!
Can't walk. Can't walk. Some of the most fun I've ever had in a race car, and I wasn't even driving. It's such an honor to ride with Mario Andretti. I still can't even believe it. I'm going to be having dreams about this for years.
Thanks for watching Donut, man. I'm just so stoked you're watching it. If you don't want to miss any of it, hit that subscribe button. If you like it, let us know by hitting the like button. Follow me on Instagram at James Pumphrey. Follow Donut at Donut Media. Watch this episode of Up to Speed. Watch this episode of Wheelhouse. We got new shows coming all the time. Keep checking back. I love you.